Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we got the final weapons update in Warzone 1's era. With today's little weekly playlist update, routine weekly update, whatever you want to call it, we ended up getting the brand new Lienna 57 LMG, the final new weapon for the Vanguard era and for Warzone 1. It's been in the game as like ground loot and chest loot for the past few days. Thing is spicy, to say the least. We're gonna go through, break down the stats, break down the best setup, the best way to unlock it, all of that. All right, so here we are. We've got our Lienna 57 here. The challenge for it was glitched for a while, but it's fixed now. First things first, when it comes to actually unlocking the Lienna 57, you just need 15 long shots. Doesn't matter with what gun, doesn't matter with what game. You can do this in Warzone. I'd suggest jumping into Plunder, doing it there. We've got Golden Plunder on Caldera now. That'll be the quickest and easiest if you are just a Warzone player. If you own Modern Warfare 2019, that's what I did to unlock this actually. Jumped into some hardcore shipment and shoot house. Sit on shoot house, that middle wall, just wait for the enemies to walk into your sights there. You just need 15 long shots. I used a thermal M4, got those done and unlocked just fine. You could also go into Vanguard multiplayer, do the same thing. I'd recommend playing like maybe one of the big map blitz mosh pits or hardcore domination or something, finding a long shot spot on one of those maps, just sitting there. It's a tedious challenge. Luckily, we only have to do 15, so it's pretty easy. It's just very boring and very slow having to wait for 15 people to come walk into your sightline at your long shot, spot. But that's the easiest way to actually unlock the Lienna 57. You guys can see, I actually have mine maxed out at 70 already. While it was ground loot, I was able to go into Plunder and pick it up out of a chest and use it and get it all the way to max level. So I have all the attachments available, all muzzles, all barrels, everything. Before we break down the full setup for it though, I do want to go through and actually break down the TTK stats for this and, really see, is this worthy of being a meta weapon? What does it look like on paper? Also, if you guys are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, with updates, with loadouts, with tips, everything going on in COD. You're gonna find it right here, and around 53% of viewers watching aren't subbed yet. So if you want to guarantee you are always up to date, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. It does really help grow the channel. Now let's talk TTK. Conveniently enough, Sim, who goes in and actually data mines the stats directly from the game files, has all the information for the Lienna 57 up on their site already. So I've gone through and built out two specific loadouts that I want to look at here to figure out which one truly is the best TTK. Both of these have the MX silencer on them. Of course, that's the go-to muzzle. Each of them also have the shrouded barrel. This is going to be the best in this case. If we go ahead and take the barrel off, you'll notice that behind the face cam here, if I were to just simply scroll down, you guys can read the stats there. The 317 barrel here, meant for ADS, meant for being agile and aggressive, hurts your recoil. The 480 barrel here is better for centering and makes it nice and accurate, but also hurts your recoil and your gun kick. Shrouded here, better velocity, better recoil as well. It's like the long range barrel. And then also the rapid, better fire rate, worse recoil, worse sprint to fire, everything. So shrouded is the clear and obvious best choice for that. And then lastly, we have the magazine, and that's the only thing that's the only difference in these two different builds here. One of them has the Clouser 75 round mag on here, which is actually recoil helping and fire rate helping. If we go ahead and look at the stats there, you'll notice better fire rate. Obviously, it's an extended mag. It hurts your velocity, but that's not something we can't get back. Also, better recoil all around. So that's that build. Then the Russian short build here actually ends up just basically being an extended mag. The 30 Russian short 90 round drums here are just simply your standard extended. 40 extra rounds, hurts your ADS and your reload time, but nothing else. There are also magazines like the 5.650, which are better for velocity, but worse for fire rate, and they're also worse for recoil. I'm not a fan of that. It just makes the gun less convenient, more difficult to use over range. There's no point in running that, in my opinion. Might help in the theoretical TTK, but in the realistic TTK, not so much. So our main focus is the extended mag versus the recoil reducing fire rate increasing mag. And when it comes to the TTK here, unfortunately, Sim doesn't have a full-on combination shot TTK, but we can look at each individual body part, and you'll notice that with the exception of, a few meters here, 41 to 54, our recoil reducing, our Clouser 75 round drum actually has that better TTK. That's to the chest. To the head, very similar story. To the neck, similar story. To the arm, it's a little bit closer and the gap's a little bit bigger here, but still same story. Lower torso, same story. Legs, same story. So when it comes down to it, the Clouser magazines here, your recoil reducing, fire rate increasing magazines here are the way to go. There's actually 2 different magazine sizes as well that we can break down, so you have some options there. But yeah, that's the true best TTK version of this setup. But then we also want to compare that to other main meta weapons to see if the Lienna 57 actually is a meta weapon, right? So versus the UGM, the STG, the Vargo, and the Grau, all great long range choices. Let's see how this Lienna stacks up. We get some very interesting stats here, actually. You can see our orange line here is our Lienna 57, green would be the UGM, purple's the STG, blue is the Vargo, red is the Grau 556. And really what we're focused on here is the chest shot TTK. That's going to be the most accurate to go off of here because we don't have combination shots. But frankly, the story is relatively the same throughout, with the exception of the neck multiplier, which is not as good on the Lienna as it is on some of these other guns. But outside of that, it's basically the same TTK patterns throughout. So chest is a perfectly acceptable place to look at. And you can see actually over range, the Lienna is about as good as it gets. It's just slightly slower than the UGM. For instance, let's look at 40 meters here before that first damage drop off. UGM is a 704, Lienna is a 765. So about a 60 millisecond difference in TTK there. Not bad at all. The UGM does have a slightly better range here, as you can see. But then after that damage drop off beyond 50 meters, the Lienna and the UGM are within 20 milliseconds of one another, which is ridiculously good. Now, of course, that's 100% accurate TTK. That differs in game to be more realistic, but clearly the Lienna is beating out the Vargo, the Grau, the STG. In my mind, based off of pure TTK stats, the Lienna absolutely falls into the meta right now easily. And another super important thing here, the velocity according to the in-game files is right up there as well. It's actually better than the UGMs and a little bit worse than the STGs, Vargos, and Graus, but for long range, it's still going to be just fine there. So now that we've done that, we know for sure we're going for the MX silencer. We also want to get the shrouded barrel on there for the better control, better accuracy. And then really, when it comes down to it, you could use the Clouser 50 round mag or the Clouser 75 round drums. These are doing the same exact thing, right? The only difference is the 75 is a lot heavier, so it's going to be a little bit slower for your ADS and whatnot. So if you're not a huge fan of the movement on 75, just use 50. If you're fine with 75, go for that. No problem, no sweat, right? For our optic here, you got a couple of different choices. A lot of players have sort of switched off of the 3 to 6 times scope, which I don't blame you. I don't like the ADS. I don't like the recoil on that. 2.5 is my personal go-to. I go ahead and I throw on the crosshair dot for that. I like 2.5 a lot. It's nice and simple, nice and easy, works for me. A lot of other players though also enjoy using the 2.5 times slate, the M38 here, because it gives you a nice little red dot as well. So both of those are good choices. Just comes down to your preference there. For the stock here, you want to go for the adjustable. This is going to be better control during sustained fire. You just have to keep that in mind to make sure you don't cross anything, which is why we're using tight grip, which is also better control during sustained fire. So this thing's going to be an absolute laser beam over any range, essentially, with both of those on there. For the underbarrel here, I'm simply going for hand stop. The recoil is relatively straightforward. There really isn't much to begin with, so we'll get a little bit of horizontal and vertical boost out of hand stop, 4% for each of those. Obviously, we want lengthened for the long range build here, and then for rear grip, hatched is usually my go-to. It's just the most consistent for recoil. And then perk 2, either on hand or fully loaded. We'll go for on hand in this case for that faster ADS, but this setup in particular, relatively straightforward, but clearly, as we saw with the TTK there, this thing is a competitor. For medium range, for long range, absolutely one of the top choices in the game right now. Super easy to use, annoying to unlock with the long shots, but still well worth it in my opinion for sure. Also, for what it's worth, there is a blueprint available in the store. It comes with a semi-decent build. Not the greatest in the world, but if you're looking to, you know, get it early and maybe level it up a little bit faster, you could always buy the blueprint. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but this is the blueprint build. It's nothing crazy and definitely misses some of the main meta setups like the rapid barrel. Not really worth. Doesn't have that. Doesn't have the main meta magazine, but it does have the extended mag. So this one's not bad, but obviously our setup's a lot better. That being said, though, that's going to wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, because every single day I got you covered with all things going on in the world of Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.